Hi, and welcome to Pet Pals. Every week we take a look at some of the animals that are at our animal shelter looking for forever homes. I'm Linda Shea. With me is Randy Cooper. We're going to start off with this little cutie. This is Pongo. Pongo is one of our senior dogs. He is about 11 or 12 years old. He's a rat terrier mix, and he's about 17 pounds. And it's not unusual for us. We are the only shelter in Frederick County, and we're open admission, meaning that we take any animal that needs us from within the county, whether they're previously owned by county residents or found as strays. So in the case of Pongo, comes to us from an owner whose situation changed. There was someone that was either moving into the home, moving out of the home, some move involved, and that's how this 11 to 12-year-old dog came to be with us. We have brought him up to speed on vaccines, deworming. He does have a very manageable thyroid issue, which we're providing medication for, and if any of you have ever had senior dogs, sometimes that plays a part in their lives as they get older, but it's extremely manageable, relatively inexpensive medication, so that does not preclude him from being adopted to a good home. There's a process that people go through to interview for animals that we have available for adoption, and it's really where we sit down with you and provide any information that we have regarding their health, their temperament, their behavior. And in the case of Pongo, he is a senior, so we want to make sure that whoever is interested in adopting him is able to provide what he needs along the lines of comfort, and then again that continued medication that he's going to need for the rest of his life. At 11 or 12 years old, he is a senior, and he qualifies for an adoption discount, and it's not because he's worth less, it's just an incentive because so many times people look for younger dogs or puppies. But this little guy's got a lot of energy, he's got a great personality, and he is definitely deserving of a forever home. This adorable little girl is Madeline. She came to us as a stray from the Frederick area, Baltimore Road, back on January 17th. And I'm not sure if you can capture just how thin she is. Domestic animals, cats, dogs, are rated on a body condition scoring chart or scoring system that rates them from 1 through 9 based on their body condition. And when she came in, Madeline was a 1 to 2, meaning that she was extremely thin. You can still see her backbone. We've been feeding her appropriately just to make sure she can gain weight. When she arrived, she was about 11, 12 pounds. She would be much better off at about 15 or 16 pounds, so extremely thin. As a stray, we have very little recourse in finding out why and how she got to be this condition, but we do know that right now she is warm and safe and being well fed and cared for, and available for adoption. She's about 2 to 3 years old. We have her as a rat terrier mix, and it's kind of funny, in a shelter environment sometimes we go through series of certain breeds, and this week seemed to be the rat terrier week, but she's a mix of something. We brought her up to speed on vaccines, deworming, flea and tick prevention. We do run fecal exams on all of the dogs that come in, because a lot of times, since dogs travel on the floor and they walk around the shelter, they can transmit parasites. So she did have something called hookworms, which she has been treated for. The treatment's done. It'll have to be followed up with a vet at some point. But she's very sweet. She's color-coded orange. She's got a great temperament and personality, and dogs in general are so forgiving, despite the fact that she came in extremely thin. Again, a 1 to 2 out of a scale of possible 9. She just speaks highly of her temperament and personality. So again, this is Madeline, about 2 to 3 years old, looking for a forever home. This affectionate little girl is Marley. Marley's about a year old, was previously owned, and as you can tell, one of the first things she did when she came on the set was to jump in the chair. So she's used to being on furniture. I would say at being a year old, it would be a challenge to train her otherwise. So anytime you introduce a pet into your home, of course, you want to establish what the rules are before that pet even gets there. You want to talk about it with your partner, with your children, just to make sure everybody is consistent in the training process. So this would definitely be a challenge if you are someone that doesn't want your dogs on the furniture. You might have to be creative in training her to not do that. She is very affectionate, very sweet. She's a little shy at first. We have her down as a wire-haired terrier mix, and the wire hair can be Jack Russell, it can be a combination of other breeds. She's about 16 pounds, and at a year old, she's not going to get much bigger. She's got really long legs. When she stands up later, you'll be able to see that. But overall, has done really well in the shelter. And unfortunately, Marley was brought to us for because of a roommate situation. The folks in the home did not agree on keeping her as part of their family, so she's ended up at the shelter. One thing that we do with all of the dogs that are placed up for adoption, before they're placed up for adoption, is we do a behavior assessment. We assess their interaction with other dogs. We assess their interaction with us as we go to approach their kennels and get them out. And the one thing that's noted on Marley is that she's very shy at first, but warms up to be very affectionate and playful. She does like to lick your face, and that is something that I discourage, and I discourage certainly if you've got small children. But again, that's something as a pet owner that you decide what the rules are, and you want to make sure that you just reinforce them with positive reinforcement. Marley is food motivated, so if you offer her some treats, she's very likely to pay attention to you, and also you want to reward her for good behavior. So again, this little energetic, affectionate, playful little year-old dog is Marley, and she is looking for a new family. So this very energetic lab is Beau. He's a lab mix, about 2 years old, came to us previously owned. And I think probably folks that maybe have never had dogs before, when they go searching for breeds, Labrador Retrievers usually come up in the mix as far as being good family dogs and reliable in temperament and friendly and playful and affectionate. And all of that is certainly true in generality, speaking about the breed. Labs, though, also that energy level can be extremely high, and Beau is a good example. He is 2 years old, so he's not really a puppy, he's more of a young adult. He is neutered, so he should be a little slowed down on the activity level. He's 78 pounds, he's very strong, and if you wanted to adopt Beau, I would recommend that you either have dog experience or a lot of patience and willing to implement some resources, especially time, into his training. He is lovely. He's affectionate, he's sweet-tempered, sweet-natured. He doesn't recognize his own strength, and I think that's part of the downfall. Part of the reason he's here is that he kept running off, and that certainly is never the dog's fault. Some dogs are just designed to run. However, it's up to their owners to make sure that they stay safe, to make sure that they have a secure area to exercise in, to make sure they get enough exercise. Beau, unfortunately, previous family, and people work and commute and so on and so forth, he was in a crate about 10 hours a day. So I just envision this big bruiser, 78 pounds, having all of that pent-up energy for really too long of a time. So his family was, thought that was unfair, and so he's here now. So we're seeking a family that either understands labs or understands energetic dogs. He has been behavior assessed. He's actually color-coded green because of his high energy level, and he can be an awesome dog. He's very responsive to people. Dogs don't automatically have manners instilled when they're born, so it is up to pet owners, dog owners, to instill some good manners, some training, some cues, words that are used to keep, to get the dog's attention and to have them behave a certain way, and then of course the positive reinforcement to follow up. So again, this is Beau. If you're looking for a dog that's high energy, that needs some work as far as manners, he would be an excellent choice for you. This little guy is Miko. Miko is a lion head mixed rabbit. He's about 5 years old, so he's on the senior end of rabbit ages. Rabbits can live 8, 9 years or longer depending on the care. You certainly want to keep in mind that rabbits are prey animals, so you have an obligation to keep them safe if you have other pets in the home that might want to play a little bit too rough. Rabbits also require special diet. You want to make sure that they have leafy greens, that they get carrots, but not too many. Carrots can have too much of a sugar content and not good for them. So the best advice I can give you is that if you own a rabbit, or if you're considering a rabbit, you want to make sure that you have a veterinarian that's literate in rabbit and have some conversations about how you'll provide the proper care for them. Miko was actually adopted from our shelter a couple of years ago. Came to us originally from an owner 2 years ago that turned him in when a person in the family developed allergies. And now 2 years later, after being adopted, he's returned to us for the same reason. So another consideration whenever you're adopting any species, any type of animal, you want to give consideration if there's any allergies in your family, or if there aren't allergies, if you develop allergies, what will happen to the animal, if there's a way to manage it or not. Sometimes if you've got allergies, just housing an animal in a place other than your bedroom, other than living space, if they can have a room to themselves, of course, large enough for exercise, or if you can solicit the help of someone to help with peripherals, such as hay. A lot of times hay is the culprit as far as folks developing allergies. But Miko is, as you can tell, very social, very handleable, sweet little boy. He's very small. We normally weigh our bunnies when they come in, so he's a little over 4 pounds. Very healthy. He's already neutered. So if you're looking for a bunny, if you have bunny experience, we recommend that you come into our shelter. We have a number of bunnies that are available looking for forever homes for adoption. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at some of our felines that are looking to be adopted from the animal shelter.
Did you know that one of the leading causes of death in America is motor vehicle accidents? Hello, I'm Sergeant Jody Maybush of the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. According to the Maryland Motor Vehicle Administration, each year traffic crashes kill more people in Maryland than homicides, and over 90% of total crashes are preventable incidents caused by driver error. Motorists can help law enforcement in preventing these tragedies by making the right choices on the road. Remember, speed kills, so slow down. For every mile per hour that you drive, the likelihood of you being involved in a crash significantly increases. Avoid distractions such as talking, texting, or emailing while you drive, and always wear your safety belt. The most important thing is that you arrive to your destination safely. So please, drive smart and help us in keeping Maryland roadways safe.
Are you bored and looking for something to do? Frederick County Parks and Recreation offers a wide variety of drop-in programs at 7 locations throughout the county. The cost is $2 per person or $5 for a group of 3 or more. For more information, call 301-600-2936 or visit us at recreator.com.
Ever wonder whether something is recyclable or not? Or maybe you forgot to set your cart out at the curb. Now there's an app for that. Download the free My Waste app for tablets and smartphones to have convenient access to a wide range of recycling and disposal information. Be notified of upcoming events, see your recycling schedule and set customized reminders, as well as instantly report curbside problems. Find out more at frederickcountymd.gov/mywaste.
Welcome back to Pet Pals. We're going to take a look at some of our kitty cats that are looking for homes. We're going to start off with a pretty large kitty cat. This is Titus. He is 13 pounds, 12.5 ounces, so almost 14 pounds. He's a larger build structure cat anyway. However, he would probably be better off at maybe about 10 or 11 pounds. And sometimes it's difficult to help animals lose weight, but similar to people, if they get enough exercise and reduce the calorie intake. So what we would recommend, of course, you want to talk to your vet. Anytime anything medical is involved with your animal, you should have a relationship with the veterinarian that you're comfortable going to and asking questions and getting exams done. But one of the best ways for cats is to measure their food. So at least you have a starting point. So if you're measuring a quarter cup of dry food a day and a quarter of a can each day, that would be a starting point. And then when you get to your veterinarian and they want to scale back a little bit, at least you know how much food you're currently feeding your cat. Titus is very agreeable to being handled and held. He's very sweet. He's only about 1.5 years old, came to us as a stray. He is already neutered. We've brought him up to speed on vaccines. He's color-coded orange, and again at Frederick County Division of Animal Control, we behavior assess our dogs, but we also informally behavior assess our cats to allow us to offer them a color code. So he's orange, meaning that he is very agreeable to being handled and held. He's not necessarily a lap cat, and I would say that at 1.5 years old, he's not going to be a lap cat quite yet. He might turn into that, but very friendly, very social, and very deserving of a forever home. So again, this is Titus, almost 14-pound kitty cat. This pretty little girl is Rose. She came to us as a stray from Shannon Court in Frederick, and she is more of an average sized cat. She's about 8 pounds, half an ounce, about 1 to 2 years old, and coming to us as a stray. Of course, you've heard me talk about the challenges of taking in stray animals. About half the animals that we take in the shelter are stray and half are previously owned. So when strays come in, we take a best educated guesstimate as to their age. So we have her at about 1 to 2 years old based on her teeth, based on her body condition. We have given her the vaccines that she needs to keep her healthy while she's here. We've tested her for 2 viruses that cats can carry, feline leukemia and feline immunodeficiency virus. She's tested negative for both of those, which is a good thing. She does have, it's just noted on her medical record, mild tartar starting on her teeth. So again, when we're aging her, that would put her closer to the 2-year-old mark than the 1-year-old mark. But sometimes dentition status can be something that's inherent, genetic. It can also be a result of the diet. So coming to us as a stray, that's the basic information that we have from her. When strays come into the shelter, we do have a process. We check for a microchip. We scan. Every animal here gets scanned at least twice prior to going to the adoption floor, sometimes more. Sometimes, believe it or not, animals look familiar to us, so if we don't catch a microchip on the first scan, we'll try it again. They get scanned when they are being examined prior to going to the adoption floor, scanned a 3rd time when they're leaving the shelter for any reason. So we do check microchips. We also check loss reports, and what helps us tremendously with cats especially is if you have an image, a photo of your pet, you want to provide that, because when you say orange tabby, sometimes it's all orange, sometimes it's got white, or sometimes it's like Rose where it's sort of half and half. So again, this is Rose. She came to us as a stray from Shannon Court, and we are looking to find her a forever home. Whenever you look at the cats on our adoption floor, they are all unique and one of a kind. And the thing that strikes me most about Soren, this is Soren, he's about 9 months old, is his markings. He has what we call, what's known as a classic brown tabby coat pattern, and to me it just reminds me of marble cake. When you're making marble cake and you swirl in the chocolate, that's exactly what his coat reminds me of. He is beautiful. He's only about 9 months old, so still sort of a kitten, a juvenile heading into the juvenile age group. He's almost 10 pounds, so he's on the larger side of the spectrum as far as cats go. Probably will grow a little bit longer, or a little bit more over time. He is a return to shelter. He was adopted from the shelter about 3 months ago. And then part of our adoption contract, when you adopt an animal from us, we take responsibility for that animal for their whole entire lives. While we adopt them out, and certainly the owners take responsibility at that point, if for some reason the adoption doesn't work out or something falls through, we'll take the animal back, and that's actually written in our contract so that we can reevaluate what happened with the adoption process reevaluate the animal and see if, what actually happened, and then certainly if it's appropriate, place them up for adoption again. So that's the case of Soren, and the reason he was turned in, sometimes we do a great job at adoption interviews and talking to people and educating the best we can. I think sometimes animal body language may be misinterpreted, or people have expectations of animals to communicate in a certain way and they don't. So Soren was turned into us because the adopter said he did not like men. So we've seen twice now so far this morning that's not true in the cases here with the shelter staff, and certainly you can see how comfortable this kitty is with Randy. So I'm not sure that's the whole story. There might have been something specific going on in his home, but again, if you come into the shelter, we disclose all the information we have on animals, and that will be on his profile. But I wouldn't be discouraged if you see an animal you're interested in and you see something that may be discouraging, ask us. Because we do disclose information we're given, but sometimes that information, we have observations that are different. So this is Soren, a young cat, about 9 months old, looking for a second chance at a home. The last two cats we're going to take a look at are these two. I've got Oliver and Randy has Barry, and Barry's going to help me out probably with some dialogue here. These two cats were brought in as stray. They were brought in together, so in all likelihood when they were found as stray, they started off together from somewhere. They're both neutered, so we know that at some point they belong to somebody. But that's the sad part about strays. We can suspect that they came from a home, from a family, and perhaps their family just hasn't thought to look here. But Oliver is about 7 to 8 years old. He is a gorgeous Siamese mix. He's very agreeable to being handled. He's a little bit camera shy, and ironically, very, very quiet. And of the two of them, Barry is the more vocal, and Barry's about 8 to 10 years old, and he is a gorgeous red tabby that knows how to hold up his end of the conversation. These two are what we consider bonded because they came in together, because they live so nicely together here. They groom each other, they keep each other company, and certainly in a shelter environment it can be very stressful. So allowing these two cats to remain together in the shelter is certainly beneficial to them, and then we've decided that they must be adopted together as well. It would really be shameful to separate them because they came in together, they survived being strays together, and they get along so well. And a lot of times with senior cats, there's not any extra work to taking care of two cats as compared to one. You have to feed them, each cat individually, but food is kind of negligible. You want to make sure that you have at least 2 litter boxes. And again, what you gain from just the social interaction and the comfort level of acclimating 2 cats that know each other into your home as opposed to an individual cat, there's not much more effort that's required. And certainly, foremost, what we do here at the shelter is we want to do whatever is in the best interest of the animal. So at any point when you see 2 animals that are housed together on our adoption floor, and certainly if we recognize that they're what we consider bonded, we do mandate that they be adopted together. So again, I have the very, very handsome Oliver, who's a little bit camera shy, again, only 7 to 8 years old, and then Randy has Barry, who's about 8 to 10 years old, and these guys must be adopted together. So if you're looking for a pair of cats, or if you know somebody that's looking for a pair of cats, you certainly want to stop into the shelter and visit with these guys. And that wraps it up for this week's Pet Pals. We always appreciate you joining us, even if you are not interested in adopting animals. If you can just spread the word that we're the one and only animal shelter, and we always have a number of animals that are looking for forever homes. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week on Pet Pals.